right, let's go. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I do not have a very strict structure of stuff I want to cover. I do have a couple of bullet points on my screen, but the main idea is just me sharing about where I'm currently at this stage of my life, this current chapter of my life, and talking about how I'm thinking about proceeding with my fitness the coming years, the coming decades. Right now, we are expecting twin girls. I am almost 40 in about a month. And, overall, I'm expecting a lot of changes. Now, for those new here, this whole project started as an attempt of me getting back in shape after an accident in my early 20s where my leg was crushed. I spent about 5.5 years, to a big extent, bedridden, feeling depressed, feeling like crap. My confidence was demolished, and calisthenics was basically the way that I got back on my feet, or on my foot and my prosthetic leg. So besides being a method to get in shape, for me calisthenics was the way to rebuild not only my exterior but also my interior. It was the way for me to feel complete again as a human being after missing a part of my body. And obviously you don't have to lose a leg in order to gain the same benefits from calisthenics, from fitness, from finding a way basically to work out that you enjoy. And for me, there's nothing better than training as much as possible outdoors, utilizing very little things, getting as much bodyweight training as possible, supplementing some stuff at home, some weighted exercises, so you can make sure you're covering all those basic human movement patterns. For example, the last year I've implemented Romanian deadlifts just because getting a good intense hip hinge with calisthenics is not that easy. But basically the whole philosophy of this project today is about that. How to train without being locked in a gym, surrounded by brick walls, having more freedom, being able to train whenever you want, wherever you want, and just having fun and getting fit at the same time. So right now, my wife is in the hospital, so we've had some challenges with our pregnancy. Waters broke a little bit earlier than we wanted them to break, but hopefully we are going to postpone labor for another 4 weeks. Let's see how that goes. Currently things are progressing okay, so no contractions. For those who are parents, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're not a parent, then that's something you'll understand more in the future. But basically, I'll be a father pretty soon. I'll be turning 40 pretty soon. And I've been thinking really hard about what do I want to do with my fitness from this point on. Now, the last 2 years, I focused mainly on hypertrophy. So building muscle, adding as much muscle mass on my frame. There was a point where my fitness really suffered. I was kind of overworked about 2 years ago. I was stressed. I was training at a low level of intensity, I would say, and I had dropped somewhere around 71 kilos. And I, decided at that point that I wanted to add some quality mass on my body. So the last 2 years, I've climbed up basically to 88 kilos. So that was February 1st. And now, after doing this bulk, I'm leaning back down again to get that rugged, strong and lean physique. Ideally, I want to drop somewhere around 79 kilos. So I'm almost done with my cut. I do have a little bit of more extra fat, but the main idea behind all this, besides looking good, having confidence, when you wake up in the morning and you see yourself in the mirror, it is also longevity. So, one of the key factors for not just longevity, because longevity is living a long time, without that necessary meaning that you're feeling great. during that time, because a lot of people are in pain during the last decades of their life. They are supported by machines and all that. So that is not the goal for me. I've kind of gotten a trailer version of that from my accident. For me, health span trumps longevity. So for those who don't know what health span is, it's basically, living as healthy as possible for as long as possible, and then quickly dropping dead before you have to suffer a lot of decay and health problems and stuff like that. So one of the most important things you can do if you want health span is add muscle mass on your body, and basically all the other habits that we've been talking about here on the project. So strength training, walking a lot, that's another big one. And the reason I've been really fascinated with health span these last years is because, first of all, I'll be having daughters in a little bit of a late stage in life. So 40 is not too early, but it's also, it's not too late, but it's also not too early. So I want to make sure that I'm, I look like 50 when I'm 65. I want to be fit. I want to be able to do all kinds of things with my daughters. And I want to live long enough to also see them having their own daughters. So I want to see my grandkids. I want to be the fit grandpa in the playground. And these are a lot of things that I think about when I train. So this struck me really hard as well a couple of weeks ago when my nephew visited. We basically met up with the whole family this afternoon at the playground. And we just went crazy. I'd been working for about 10 hours behind the screen. So, doing a lot of the check-ins with my online trainees, editing videos like this. And after 10 hours of being pinned on its chair, I was finally free to go out and have fun with my nephew. And we just went haywire on the playground, right? We were, rolling on the floor, jumping around up and down, sprinting. I was just being a complete kid with him. And that's one of the awesome things with kids. You become a kid again. And yeah, we just went haywire. This 40-year-old dude with a prosthetic leg in the playground was just acting like a lunatic with his nephew. I imagine that a lot of the adults there kind of stared, but we were just having so much fun that I didn't really care to notice. So this is when it really hit me that this is the kind of dad that I want to be with my daughters, right? I want to be the dad at the playground that is not waiting for my kids to exhaust themselves. I want to exhaust my kids first, if that's possible. I know I'm talking a big game, and I know I'm not a parent yet, but that is the vision, right? I don't want to be the dad with his hands in the pocket, just, waiting for my kids to get tired. I want to be able to get tired with them. Just be a monkey with them in the playground or wherever we are playing around and having fun. And not only that, I want to be able to teach them stuff. I want to be able to teach them skills like jump rope, like, jumping on a pull-up bar, hanging from a pull-up bar, doing a handstand. Why not even doing a muscle up? I want to be able to interact with my kids in all of these ways. After all, what's the point of having a strong and rugged athletic physique if you can't move like an athlete? So after thinking about all this stuff, I realized that I need to incorporate some more playfulness in my training, right? I'm pretty happy where I'm at with my physique, with my muscle mass goals. I would like to add a little bit of more muscle the coming year, but I'm pretty happy at being, 80, maybe 81 kilos at 175, 74 centimeters. So after all this, I've been incorporating a new workout in my weekly routine. And I wouldn't even call this a workout. I call this more of a play day where, again, I don't have a very strict structure of what I do, but I do work on different kinds of skills and more playful stuff. Some of this stuff are things I could do in the past, but just because I haven't practiced them, they're things that I've lost. If you don't use it, you lose it, as they say. And this is also the routine that I want to share with you today. Now, before I dive into today's routine, keep in mind that training this way is actually counterproductive to building muscle, to building a solid foundation with more hypertrophy-oriented calisthenics, just because it takes, first of all, so much of a toll from your recovery, and also because you're probably going to get injured if you haven't really nailed the basics first. So this is what we recommend in our coaching. The first, depending on the person, but the first 2 to maybe 3 years, you really want to hammer those basics. You want to get strong, you want to build muscle, and you also want to get lean, right? It's very hard to do calisthenics if you're overweight. It might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but this is actually the faster and safer route. By the way, if you're wondering what is Project Underdog, this is an 8-week program that has everything you need to build muscle, drop your gut, and carve a rugged, strong, and lean physique using only a set of adjustable dumbbells and a pair of gymnastic rings. So if you're looking for a zero fluff program, just the nitty-gritty stuff that works, plus expert guidance and accountability, then make sure you check out the new page that I've created below about this program. And do not forget to subscribe to the Underdog newsletter list, since we'll be starting soon and spots will be limited. Now, this is the great thing with calisthenics. Once you build a good foundation, it's pretty easy. Well, not easy, but it's a lot more effortless to transition to some more play, to some more things that are more on the acrobatic or gymnast end of the spectrum of calisthenics. Typically, I perform this workout on a Saturday or a Sunday, like today. This way, you have a little bit of more time. You're not rushed, because it does take a little bit, ideally, more time if you want to be able to, train without being in a hurry, and play around, be a little bit curious. Like, I also sometimes just experiment with whatever I feel like doing. So, as with all of my morning workouts, it's a great way to meditate on your problems, to be more present, to spark creativity, and it really is a great mental reset from all the stressors of your life. Obviously, all of my workouts do this for me, but this one I feel does that even a bit more. Okay, so enough being said, let's talk now about how my actual play routine looks like. First of all, I start with a ruck to the location that I'll be training or playing, call it as you want. If there's one thing that you'll be doing when you become a father, is carrying heavy stuff around, either that's things or your kids. So, what's a better way to prepare for that? Once I arrive at the place that I've decided to train that day, to play that day, I put on some relaxing music, some lo-fi or some classical music. And I will typically start with some jump rope. Found an underwear hanging today on the pull-up bars. I don't know what happened here, but actually I do know what happened, probably. That's a story for a different video. Just because John asks, why do I wear gloves when I train outdoors? Although it's pretty ironic that I forgot my gloves today. So, jump rope is a great way to work on viscoelasticity, meaning the quality of your muscles to be both elastic, but to be also able to respond to high impact without getting injured. And in simple words, it's a great way to be able to stay light on your feet. Definitely another quality you need when you're gonna be a dad. The rest of the exercises, in a nutshell, what I'm aiming for here is coordination, agility, viscoelasticity. We covered proprioception, meaning the sensation of where your body is in space. Typically, my next exercise will be muscle ups, this is a fantastic exercise for building coordination between two basic movements, pulling and pushing. The way I describe a muscle up, it's basically a chest to bar pull up and a straight bar dip. Of course, the key part is that switch in the middle, that coordination where you are, very quickly recruiting explosive parts of your body, of your back, of your arms, those really, really fast twitch muscle fibers. And it doesn't really matter how strong you are. Don't get me wrong. It's a great foundation to have like a good chest to bar pull up and dips. But if you haven't worked on that in between stage of the exercise, that switch, which requires, again, as we said, explosiveness and coordination, then it's going to take a while until you can do these. So I used to be able to do these a lot more smoothly. Back in the day, probably somewhere around 10 years before. But when I first started to try to do these a couple of weeks ago, I could barely get one after like really trying and warming up. It's getting better, so I can do them a little bit more smoothly. There's definitely a lot of work for improvement here, but I can do a few more reps. And yeah, I'm definitely enjoying these. Really a cool exercise to be able to do at the playground with your kids if you want to impress them. Okay, the next exercise that I'm trying to get back, again, something I could do in the past, but currently I cannot, is the one arm pull-up. Now, keep in mind that you're not going to build a lot of muscle with one arm pull-ups. This is, again, more of a feat of strength. This is more neuronally demanding. And if you really want to build like strong arms and a back and all that, just do regular pull-ups after that, chest to bar pull-ups after that, add weight, a weighted vest or whatever, and get strong at those. But definitely something, again, that would look cool to do at a playground with your kids. So this is the progression that I'm currently using. What I see a lot of people teaching on YouTube when it comes to one arm pull-ups, for me, is usually not that logical, not that effective. This, on the other hand, is a lot better progression. Maybe something I can talk about in the future once I'm able to do, again, one arm pull-ups. In the past, I think my best reps were 3 one-arm pull-ups with my right arm and 1 or maybe 2, although I think 1 pull-up with my left arm. So yeah, it would be great to get back to that and to also balance my right and left arm. Finally, we have handstands. For me, one of the best exercise to feel really present, to let go of whatever problems you might have and thoughts and all of that. It's honestly like meditating for me. Really, really cool exercise to practice. It is definitely hard. I used to be able to hold like 50-second handstands. I used to be able to do about 11 free handstands in the past. I'm not able to do that right now, but I do think I'll be getting back to it within maybe a few months. I would say maybe 2 to 3 months if I start training a little bit more consistently. So the main thing for handstands you want to train is your wrists. So handstands require really strong wrists. I hear a lot of people talking about how you have to practice the hollow body position and all that. But honestly, if you don't have insanely strong wrists, you're never going to get a free handstand for at least for more than a couple of seconds. All right, so this is basically what I did today. Other things I like to practice also are vertical jumps whenever possible. Today didn't have the time for that. Hill sprints, again, more of a fitness kind of exercise, but definitely a skill I want to work on. I used to do a lot of those back in my hometown. The last 2 years, not so much, just because of the terrain here. I just don't have access to hills where I'm currently at. And Flat surface sprints, not great for me and my prosthesis especially, but also overall for people. Like hill sprints are going to always be a lot friendlier on the lower body. So yeah, I'm a big fan of those, as you know. In summary, incorporating more play in your training can be a great way to connect with your kids, to interact with your kids, to feel young, to not only look athletic, but to move like an athlete, to move with more confidence, despite, you know, your age, either you're 40, 50, or 60. Just make sure that you first build a solid foundation before you try to do handstands. Make sure you build muscle first, you get lean first, you hammer all those foundational exercises first. And after that, after you work on that for 2 or 3 years, you can start having more fun with the more gymnast end of the spectrum of calisthenics. That was all for today, and until next time, keep on training.